This is Christmas New Year time and there are a lot of parties around. Now you go to a party and you're introduced to someone new. Someone good looking, someone who seems special. They're smiling, they've got a friendly face, but you're not sure what to say to break the ice. How do you do it? You could start talking about the weather or maybe how bad the traffic was on the way over. But let's be real. That's not the stuff they're going to remember you for. And you want them to remember you. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips. I'm your host Sarika Singh, and today we're going to talk about something that can truly transform the way you connect with people. Whether it's a meeting or a casual chat at a party or even a high stakes conversation with your boss. We are diving into the magic of being memorable. And I'm going to teach you a very special technique. Very easy, very handy, and yet very special. I promise by the end of this episode, you'll walk away with a master trick that people will remember you long after you've spoken to them. Of course, for the good reasons. For now, let's dive in. A few months ago, I was at a conference in Germany. I didn't know anyone there, and most of the people spoke German, and they kind of knew each other. So I was trying to find my ground. Call it an occupational hazard or just a habit, but I love to observe people. It's a great learning experience. I saw someone wearing a sleek suit, very professional air about him, but his tie was a little loose. Like he'd been running around, he also had a cup of coffee in his hand, he was shifting his weight and wasn't entirely comfortable. I asked myself, what does it tell me about him? Maybe he's a bit rushed, or maybe he's dealing with a lot of tasks today. So instead of jumping straight into a what do you do question, I walked up to him and started with, you look like you've been running around all day. Hi, I'm Sarika and I think you have a lot on your platter today. Do you need a hand? He gave me that at least someone noticed look. Turns out he was from the host company. He introduced me to everyone there. In no time, I knew lots of people there and lots of people knew me. Suddenly, from being a stranger there, I became someone a lot of people knew. We connected superbly well. I met him again at an event last month and smilingly announcing how I had first noticed him, he walked up to me right from across the room and we connected like long lost friends. So my one gesture, one conversation, one observation earned me a good friend. What is the lesson here? What do you think I did? Uh-oh, what's that doorbell for? Now, before you think this is some mysterious, mind-reading, psychic stuff, let me clear the air. I'm talking about the technique of cold reading. Something used by celebrities or top-notch leaders and most well-connected social butterflies. Professional cold readers such as psychics, mentalists, or you may call them fortune tellers, they use these techniques to convince people that they know more about them than they actually do. But you can master the art of cold reading by learning a few simple tricks and knowing the right questions to ask. If you're modest, confident, and committed, and you use it for the right reasons, you can even start convincing people that you possess supernatural reading abilities. I am not trying to advise you on that. I am not advocating that, and please don't do that. I'm just showing you how to make that special connection with the person or the audience that you're eyeing so dearly, all with a clean, clear, and pure intent. So, cold reading isn't about predicting the future. It's not about reading someone's mind. It's actually very scientific. It's about reading the room and the person you are talking to. Just using a few simple clues. And when you do it right, you'll stand out in their memory, like the person who got them. You know, who really listened. It's like being a magician, but instead of pulling rabbits out of hats, you're pulling a conversation. Gold that sticks. I'm going to show you exactly how to use this technique so that you not only engage, not only connect with them, but also become memorable, occupying a unique, special corner in their heads. Whether you're networking or you're seeking advice or you're just trying to make new friends, cold reading can be your gateway to expanding your social circle. If you're curious about how to break the ice without getting the cold shoulder and with an intent to make a special mark in the other person's memory, stick around because we're going to dive into this smart art of initiating memorable conversations with strangers and also with the people you already know. Let's say you're meeting someone at a coffee shop or a restaurant. They're wearing sneakers, a hoodie, nothing fancy. But when they speak, they have an energetic vibe and their hands are moving when they talk. You could have easily jumped to the conclusion that, hey, he's wearing a hoodie, he's wearing sneakers, so he's casual, maybe even a little laid back. But as you dive deeper, as you listen to their speech pattern, you realize they're enthusiastic about whatever they're sharing. Maybe it's not just casual, it's passionate. So instead of, hey, how's it going? You could say, you've got some serious energy. What has been exciting you lately? That right there shifts the focus to what is really lighting them up. It shows you're paying attention to what makes them tick. By starting with that, you have tapped into their present moment. You're not just another person, asking about their job title. You're acknowledging their reality. And that's memorable. Why? Because it's personalized. You're reading the room, you're noticing the subtle clues, you're creating connections. You're showing that you care about the person in front of you enough to notice little subtle cues about that person. So when you're cold reading, you're not just making assumptions. You're refining those assumptions with observation. It's like you're learning a new instrument. You don't just play the notes blindly. You listen. You adjust. You feel the rhythm. And likewise, when you're having a conversation, you're playing the moment. You notice their tone, their facial expressions, and the little shifts in their energy. And according to that, you adapt your responses. The other day, I was at a family gathering. My cousin, she seemed a bit distant that day. She was not engaging in the usual banter. Normally, I would have thought, oh, what's wrong with her today? But looking at her, observing her, I realized she was holding her phone very close to her, scanning through it. But she was not really on it. It was more like she was hiding behind it, unsure of something. So instead of calling her out, I said, you seem to be a little preoccupied today. Is everything okay? It's like I had a cold read of the situation. And now I had created an opening for her to either talk about it, what was going on in her mind, or just acknowledge that she needed a moment. Either way, it had made me memorable. She noticed me noticing her. Because I just didn't assume that she was a closed book. I cared to connect with her. And that makes me memorable. Let me share where I learned this technique of cold reading. So I learned it practically, in my favorite place, doing my favorite thing, having coffee. There's a new organic coffee place opened close to my studio, and that day I decided I was going to check it out. It was a warm day and I was in a mood for a good Vietnamese coffee. But since that wasn't in the menu, I ordered an iced double shot espresso. But to make my order clear, I explained her how I wanted it. So I said, put the double shot of coffee on a glass full of crushed ice, no sugar, no water. And I added, if you have condensed milk, Just top it up with a generous spoon. She smiled at me and she said, I can make you a Vietnamese coffee, she added. You explain so well and you've got a really sweet voice. Are you on radio? I smiled back and I told her, Teacher, you can say, I'm a teacher and now I'm a podcaster. I coach on communication skills. She had that I knew that expression on her face. We had a short conversation afterwards. So whenever I'm ordering my Vietnamese coffee anywhere, I remember that girl on the coffee counter. Not because she made the best coffee, but because of what she observed about me. Of all the people I've interacted with at coffee shops, she's the one who stands out. She's the one who remains in my head. She's the one who's memorable. So the next time you're in a conversation, try to read the room like you're a detective and fine-tune your responses based on what you observe. Don't be afraid to ask questions that tap into the deeper layers of someone's experience. You'll notice how much easier it is to connect. And you'll engage with them on a much deeper level other than the superficial level, hey, how's it going? And that'll make you memorable. I often say this in my workshops that communication is all about connection. So make every conversation, every singular conversation count. Thanks for tuning in to Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips. It's your one-stop solution for all things communication. We're not a big company and we don't run ads, so share this episode with someone who could benefit from it. And we believe in the power of word of mouth. If you or your team need help in acing interviews or mastering any communication challenge, or you have any communication challenge yourself, you can reach me where? On Insta, #Communicate101. You can write to me here or you can email me at info@sarikasingh.in. Catch you next time. Thank you for listening to this episode of Communicate 101 Speaking Writing Tips with Sarika Singh. If you want to be notified of upcoming episodes, be sure to hit the subscribe button and follow the podcast. I'll be back to share more stories, more life experiences, and more communication tips every Friday. If you want to reach me or connect with me, just put your comments in the comment box below or mail me at info@sarikasingh.in. I know you're going to rate and review this podcast, so a big thank you in advance. Stay tuned and think about what we talked today.